new support hero in Juno, a new game mode Clash with Hanaoka and Throne of Anubis, 15 avoid slots, a wave respawn mechanic, a soft ranked reset, and a ton of new skins, of course, including Mythic Anubis Reaper, are all new additions for Overwatch 2 Season 12, New Frontiers. We'll get into all of that later on, of course, after we cover the most important thing, which is the balance patch. D.Va's defense matrix is going to be nerfed from 3.5 to 3 seconds. The devs comment that the increase in defense matrix availability didn't help D.Va's overall performance that much compared to the amount of frustration it was causing players on the opposing team, so we're reverting it to the previous duration. For Orisa, the energy javelin impact damage is going to be increased from 60 to 80. The devs comment that Orisa is still underperforming, so we're increasing the impact damage of energy javelin to better reward accuracy with the ability. Zarya is getting a small buff. The particle cannon secondary fire minimum damage is going to be increased from 47 to 55. The maximum damage is going to be increased from 95 to 110. That's at full energy. The devs comment that Zarya's secondary fire didn't benefit much from the projectile size changes in Season 9 since it's mostly aimed at the ground. We're increasing its damage to keep it from feeling effective relative to her primary fire beam. Echo's HP is going to be reduced from 250 to 225. The devs comment that no additional adjustments to support the reduced health pool, as like Pharah, Echo was one of the top performing damage heroes recently. Interestingly enough, Hanzo's actually getting his health reduced from 250 to 225 as well. The devs comment that Hanzo doesn't quite fit the category of being as highly mobile as the other heroes as we're moving to 225 HP, but like Widowmaker, he does have the potential long-range lethality merits as he is now able to one-shot the 225 HP heroes. It's also nice for the Hanzo Mira matchup to be more decisive as well. For Junkrat, his frag launcher's projectile size is now reduced by half after the second ricochet, so the random spam damage won't be as consistent. Additionally, the projectiles now preserve slightly more velocity on the ricochet, so they bounce a little bit crazier. You're gonna have to get used to that. The devs comment that this is mostly a revision back to how Junkrat's grenades used to ricochet in early Overwatch, which enables more control over the angle of the bounce and helps the weapon better control spaces with some tricky shots. But the projectile size is now reduced after a couple of bounces, so there will be fewer random feeling direct impacts near the end of the projectile's lifetime. Getting some Sojourn buffs here for the railgun. The primary fire SMG weapon spread is going to be reduced from 2 to 1.6 degrees. That's a buff and means the spread is tighter. Critical hits or headshots now grant 10 energy instead of 5 again, and the energy degeneration rate is reduced from 33 to 15 per second after 7 seconds, so it just decays less. The devs comment that after reducing the maximum damage of the railgun secondary fire, we're continuing to look at the effectiveness of Sojourn's primary fire. These changes are to make it more accurate and better reward accuracy by increasing the energy gained from headshots. For Sombra, her base health is also going to be reduced from 250 to 225, and the stealth bonus movement speed is going to be increased from 45 to 60% to compensate. In addition, the virus impact damage is going to be increased from 25 to 35. The devs comment that the increased movement speed while stealth will better enable Sombra to get into advantageous positions or be slightly more evasive with the new lower health. Torbjorn's getting 25 base white health converted into armor. That's a buff. The devs comment that the shift in armor health for Torbjorn is to increase survivability against the heroes which are most affected by armor's damage reduction, such as Tracer. Onto the supports. The first one is Illari. The solar rifle maximum ammo is reduced from 16 to 14. In addition, the Captive Sun ultimate projectile environment collision size is going to be reduced from 0.15 to 0 meters. The devs comment that Illari can deal a lot of damage over the course of a game, but may have too much ammo given that her projectiles are easier to land due to their projectile size increase from Season 9, they mean. We're also removing the extra environment collision size on our Captive Sun projectile so that it doesn't accidentally detonate early when firing it at nearby walls and such. There is a similar fix to prevent her secondary fire beam from impacting a wall instead of allies near it as well. Alright, Juno, the new poster girl for Overwatch, is officially entering the game and is eligible for competitive right away on day 1. Now, these nerfs and buffs are going to be relative to her playtest that she had a month ago. So here we go. The base health is going to be reduced from 250 to 225. Primary fire burst projectile volley rate of fire is going to be reduced from 34 to 28 rounds per second. Her hyper ring deploy range is actually going to be increased by 3.5 meters. The cooldown is also going to be reduced by 2 seconds from 16 to 14. Her pulsar torpedo's damage and healing impact is going to be increased from 75 to 85, and the heal over time is going to be reduced from 60 to 50. And finally, her ultimate, the Orbital Ray, beam travel speed is going to be increased from 1.9 to 2.25 meters per second. The devs comment that community feedback on Juno's trial was split between over and underpowered. On the stats side, she performed strongly in most every categories, but particularly overperformed in the healing output over the course of a game. These changes are improving her utility while pulling back lightly on the healing throughput, since we'd still like her to launch in a strong state as players grow accustomed to her playstyle. There are also quite a few quality of life improvements that are listed elsewhere in the patch notes. Kiriko is considered a pretty mobile support, so her base health is going to be reduced from 250 to 225. Her kunai critical headshot multiplier is going to be reduced from 2.5 to 2 times now, and her damage, the body shot of each kunai, is going to be increased from 45 to 60. She's pretty much standardized with most heroes now. The recovery time is going to be increased from 0.5 to 0.55 seconds. That's a nerf. That means each kunai comes out a little bit slower because there's more time in between. The devs comment that despite the perception of how powerful Kiriko feels to play against, she is a hero that consistently underperforms when it comes to winning games. However, she is a highly evasive hero that makes a lot of sense to be in the 225 health bracket. To help counterbalance the loss of health, we're smoothing out her damage dealing consistency by increasing the kunai's weapon's base damage and removing the enhanced critical multiplier. Lifeweaver changes. The Healing Blossom healing progress can now charge passively at a reduced rate. Wow. And it no longer reduces movement speed while you're holding a full charge. The Rejuvenating Dash healing is going to be reduced from 60 to 45, and for Petal Platform, a couple of big changes here. The duration only counts down while the platform is raised now. The platform now resets if no one is standing on it for 2 seconds, and the duration of it is going to be increased from 10 to 12 seconds. However, the health of the platform is reduced from 400 to 300. The devs comment that Petal Platform was too easy to waste if a player accidentally ran over it without intending to make use of it. Now it resets back to the ground if no one is standing on it. We're also reducing its health so that's more reasonable counterplay to destroy the platform. Healing Blossom will now passively charge at a slower rate to enable heroes to actually swap between weapons without fear of falling too far behind when swapping back to healing. Lucio's base health is going to be reduced from 250 to 225, of course, and his Sonic Amplifier, the primary fire damage, is going to be increased from 18 to 22. The devs comment that Lucio is one of the most mobile heroes and makes his allies faster as well, so we are moving him to the 225 HP category. His playstyle tends to get into closer ranges more often than other heroes in this category, so we're tuning up his primary fire damage output to increase his effectiveness at range before diving in. Mercy's health is going to be reduced from 250 to 225, but the Caduceus staff, the primary fire healing, is going to go back from 55 to 60 health per second, and damage boost is going to be increased from 25 to 30%. The devs comment that Mercy's Guardian Angel movement enables her to be highly evasive and difficult to engage with for many heroes, but is also one of the most fun parts of her ability kit, so we'd like to keep that strength. We are moving her to 225 HP, but increasing the output of her Caduceus staff beams. Final hero of the patch is Moira, base health also reduced from 250 to 225. The Biotic Grasp secondary fire damage is going to be increased from 60 to 65 damage per second. The devs comment that Moira can be difficult to take down between the low cooldown on her Fade ability and self-healing with the Biotic Orb, so now she has the 225 HP and slightly higher damage output to keep an edge to her offensive potential. Let's get into the game modes and maps. The first thing we're going to do is cover the old stuff before we talk about Clash, which is the new game mode. So beginning with Flashpoint, you now have a speed boost when you leave your spawn door to get to the speed capture point faster. Less time walking, more time running and fighting to the point. The speed boost is removed when you take or deal damage immediately. The speed boost is also applied by both the default and the forward spawns, and the speed boost does count towards that existing movement speed bonus cap of 75%. They're basically saying don't waste your Lucio speed amp out of spawn on this game mode now because it won't break this cap. For the push maps, they're updating the push bot collision so that players cannot contest from certain high ground positions. Blizzard's probably talking about that spot on Colosseo on the bridge, and for New Queen Street, there's a room above the middle area where Mei can like ice block and contest forever. Right, Clash is that new game mode in Overwatch 2, which is 5 capture points on a linear path on a mirrored map. Since the trial for Clash that took place earlier this year, they've made some adjustments where that the final capture points for each team, like point A and point E, are more rewarding, and they're worth 3 points that are split up into the segments on that capture progress. A win comes when a team reaches 5 total points from capturing various objectives on the map, or if they manage to push into their opponent's territory and fully capture the final objective. This game mode obviously comes out with 2 maps, Throne of Anubis, which was teased in the trailer, a remake of Temple of Anubis, and Hanaoka, a remake of Hanamura. If you're an Overwatch 1 fan, you know exactly what maps we're talking about. And the final general map and mode updates are that they updated the map recency system to increase the frequency of new maps and modes at the start of each season, so you're going to get a lot more Clash right now. The capture point outlines can now be seen through walls on Clash and Flashpoint when the capture point is unlocked, and the lighting scenarios are now randomized in quick play and competitive to make it a bit more interesting, finally. All right, let's speed through the last couple of updates. There's now Hero Mastery courses for Pharah and Zarya. The Avoid a Teammate now has 15 slots, 3 pin slots for permanently bad actors in your games, and 12 more recent slots. These recent spots are not a guarantee that this person will not be your teammate. The pinned ones, the 3 pinned ones work like you're used to, right? Will never be on your team, but the 12 recent ones will kind of be on a gradient scale. So there's a high chance they won't be on your team, but no guarantees because matchmaking time will probably take forever. Now, group respawn, it was a mechanic they've been testing in quick play for a couple of months now. Maybe you've noticed it, maybe you haven't if you haven't been keeping up to the patches, but there's actually a brand new spawn system for every mode, quick play and competitive. It's called Wave Respawn. To understand how it works, let me quickly go over some of the major changes here. The default respawn time is increased from 10 to 12 seconds, and the overtime respawn time is going to be increased from 13 to 14 seconds. Okay, so now that you know default respawn is 12 seconds, how wave respawn works is that when the first hero on a team dies, they start a new wave for their team. Any hero that dies within that 6 seconds of that wave already started from a previous teammate who died will join that wave automatically. A hero joining the wave will respawn at the exact same time as that first person who died and started the wave. This means that the respawn time of heroes joining the wave can be as long as 12 seconds if they died at the same time as the first hero, or as short as 6 seconds if they catch that last end of the wave. If a hero starts a wave, but no other hero joins the wave, like nobody else dies, they will respawn 2 seconds faster, back to 10 seconds, which was the default respawn time for, since forever, since Overwatch has been out. This wave respawn mechanic is actually in a couple of other FPS games, if I'm not mistaken, and if you play any of them, let me know if you like the mechanic or not. Here's a screenshot of the rest of the small nitty-gritty things with the spawn system changes and a full director's blog that they released explaining it in further detail. All right, last thing we need to talk about is there is a mid-year rank reset. That's right, all your competitive skill ranks for players have been reset for Season 12, and you need to complete 10 placement matches for each role again to be ranked and start climbing on the leaderboard. The devs comment that their plan was to reset ranks every 6 months alongside larger updates that shake up the metagame, including significant hero balance changes, new heroes like Juno, new game modes like Clash, and changes to core systems like the respawning changes mentioned above. All right, here's my KarQ note here. I thought the original plan was once every year, and then they casually mentioned maybe more frequently, semi-frequently, like semi-annually in a couple of like dev Q&As, but they never explicitly said it. And until now, a lot of people are going to be caught by surprise by a random rank reset. It has been 6 months since that reset in February, but like I think people are just finally recovering from that initial reset, and they're going to be pushed back again, which kind of sucks for really casual players who don't have enough time to put into this game weekly. But for the players who play a lot, like streamers, content creators, and people with no lives, you probably don't mind grinding again, right? But let me know what you guys think. And that's it for this Season 12 patch. Thank you all for listening, and there are Twitch drops at twitch.tv/KarQ. I'd appreciate your support if you want to come watch the stream and collect your in-game cosmetics. See you there.